How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and this week we are going to be recapping WrestleDream, the inaugural WrestleDream, which took place October 1st, 2023, at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. An all-elite wrestling event, obviously, and this event was intended to be a tribute to Antonio Inoki, New Japan Pro Wrestling. The event began with a 10-bell salute to Inoki, who apparently was somebody that Tony Khan really looked up to. And it took place the one-year anniversary of Inoki's death. So that's kind of the background of why this event was created. And
was this a pay-per-view, or was this just like a special?
Yes, it was a pay-per-view. Yep.
Well, how many pay-per-views have they had in the past month?
So yeah, obviously next year, I would hope that they work on their structure of that a little bit, because I guess they were kind of just doing what they like. The opportunities would present themselves, and so they took advantage of it. I'm speaking, of course, of All In. Like, they could get Wembley Stadium for X date. They did that, but then they also were already planning to have All Out, a week later. And then, of course, he created the WrestleDream, which, if you're going to honor Inoki on the anniversary of his death, you got to have that on that date. So, yeah, they've had a lot of events, and they had the special Dynamite at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York recently as well. And as I record this, the Wednesday, it'll be past, but the most recent Dynamite, it'll be the 4-year anniversary of Dynamite, I believe, is what it is.
Yeah, you get that's oversaturation. You're doing too much at one time. So,
well,
I think I get the idea. Well, these opportunities presented themselves, but like you said, hopefully next year they can organize their schedule a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor is still floating around that they're going to go to 12 a year, and they're going to be on HBO Max. Again, it's always just a rumor. I haven't heard anything concrete, but we'll see what happens there. So there was a pre-show this, and I did not get a chance to watch that, but I'll just tell you a little bit the matches. There was an 8-person mixed tag team match. Athena, Billy Starks, Keith Lee, and Satoshi Kojima against Shane Taylor Promotions of Lee Moriarty, Shane Taylor, Diamante, and Mercedes Martinez. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Josh Barnett by pinfall. And the third match, Luchasaurus defeated Nick Wayne by pinfall, which is interesting considering what happened at the end of the night. The last match of the pre-show, Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed defeated TMDK, which consists of Bad Dude Tito, great name, Shane Haste, and Mikey Nichols for the AEW World Trios Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, you asked me last time if I did a pick 'em for the AEW like I did for WWE, and I said yes, I did, but I forget who I picked. I have it called up. I only missed 2 matches on this card,
okay,
which we'll get to. Considering that I don't watch any AEW whatsoever, and I barely look at the news online when it concerns them.
Right.
So I did nail everything on the pre-show, which I think was pretty easy because all the named people, all the more popular people won.
Right. Absolutely. All right, so let's get to the opening match, which was for the ROH World Tag Team Championships. A handicap match, 2-on-1. MJF would go it alone against the Righteous of Dutch and Vincent. 9 minutes, 40 seconds. MJF would win this match. The backstory here is that Adam Cole injured his ankle and is out. Britt Baker is also off TV, Britt Baker being Adam Cole's girlfriend. A lot of rumors as to whether or not this is a real injury or not, whether it has to do with a storyline that was started at the end of Dynamite. People who watch AEW will know what I'm referring to there. Who knows? I have my suspicions, but we will see. Anyway, this opening match was quite silly, but silly in a fun way, I would say. MJF was doing a lot of his shtick throughout the match. In reality, I would have not picked MJF here because I would have picked the Righteous to go over simply because they are really pushing the Righteous hard, and I think that they want to focus on the MJF uh, going at it alone storyline and where that leads. But yeah, MJF did his kangaroo kick. He body slammed, the big guy in the Righteous, and that was a big thing. So it was very silly, very fun. I would probably give this maybe 2 3/4 stars. Maybe that sounds a little harsh. I did have fun with it. But it was, once you saw where they were going, you kind of knew MJF was going to keep the titles.
So this was one I missed because and only 3 people took the Righteous, everyone else took MJF, and but to me that's Russo booking. If you're going to have a single guy defend tag team titles and then he wins,
there were shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, and he did that WCW. It's like Rick Steiner did that.
Right.
So to me, I guess I was hoping Tony Khan was better than that.
Well, I wouldn't say it was overbooked. I mean, like I said, it was silly, but like it wasn't. There were some shenanigans on MJF's part, but
yeah, it just doesn't make sense for one guy to be the tag team champions.
Well, I think that they're looking at the long-term story in that case. When it comes to logic, I agree with you, but I think that they're playing a long game with the fact that MJF and Adam Cole have the titles. I don't think that story is over yet, and we'll
I think it depends on how quick Adam Cole comes back. Again, if it's kayfabe, he can come back whenever he wants. If it's for real, it just depends on the injury. I think if he can come back. It might be stretching to say end of the year. If he can come back, say, before Thanksgiving, then maybe you do that. If it's going to be longer than that, I think you got to move those belts.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure something will happen there eventually. The next match, Eddie Kingston against Katsuhori Shibata. This was a singles match for the ROH World Championship and the Strong Openweight Championship. Both titles were on the line. This went about 11 minutes. Oh, by the way, I did give the starter rating for the MJF.
Yes, you did 2 3/4. Yeah.
So Eddie Kingston won this match, as I expected he would. Eddie Kingston has a lot of respect for the guys in Japan, and he always works with them a lot. It's cool to see Eddie Kingston with 2 belts. I like him a lot. I think that his character is somebody that the fans can really get behind and have. So I would give this one maybe 3 1/4 stars. Maybe a clash of styles, but Eddie Kingston always works his heart out, and Katsuhori Shibata is very good as well. There are a lot of ground game wrestling when he's in the ring.
I'm a big Eddie Kingston fan. I like him a lot. And again, it's the attitude, it's the character, it's the work that he puts in. So yeah, and of course I took Eddie for this, and I think everyone else did as well in the pick'em. But yeah, big Eddie fan.
Right. All right. The next match is Chris Statlander defending her AEW TBS championship against Julia Hart, who has Brody King at ringside with her. This went about 9 minutes. I would give this one probably 3.5, 3 3/4 stars. I thought that this was much better than people would give it credit for. Julia Hart has come a long way in the ring. They've been pushing her pretty hard. But Chris Statlander is the champion that I think that they want to keep the belt on for a while.
Is she still primarily a valet?
Yes. I mean, well, she's been working in the ring much more lately. Lately, it's been her and Brody King. Brody King comes out for her matches. Malachi Black and Rhea Ripley's fiance. I'm brain farting on his name.
Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy. Thank you. They are absent from the House of Black faction. I don't know why, but yeah. So they're not on screen. So they've been focusing more on Julia Hart in her matches.
So our other guys have disappeared. It's kind of like she's getting the push via attrition.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, like she would have matches for here and there, on Rampage and stuff like that. But they've been focusing on her more, building up to this match. I assume. So
was she the one that started out with the Varsity Blondes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And and a tangent there. It looks like Brian Pillman Jr. has signed with NXT, and
yes,
will be debuting there at some point.
He was originally booked to be at the Great Fall Bash 2 in Chillicothe that we talked about in another video.
Right.
And he wound up having to pull out because of the WWE contract, and they wanted him at the Performance Center.
Yeah, and I wish him all the luck in the world. They AEW tried to kind of get stuff from him, and it just didn't happen much beyond the fact that he was Brian Pillman's son. And it might sound harsh for me to say that. I hope that there's a lot of good people that he can work with there and get better at promos and stuff like that. So I hope he does. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh yeah. So I did give the rating there. The next match is a 4-way tag team match for a #1 contenders spot at the World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks against the Lucha Brothers, against the Guns, against Orange Cassidy and Hook. The Young Bucks would win this one in 12 minutes and 40 seconds. And this, obviously you have a lot of people in the ring here, but I liked it a lot. These are all people that, have worked together before or in some capacity. They were kind of hyping Orange Cassidy and Hook as the new tag team to kind of get the win here, but the Young Bucks got the win here. And I would probably give this one like a 3 3/4 stars. A lot of good work from all these teams. They clearly want to go back to have a 4th installment of the FTR Young Bucks series, which I'm all for. And I would assume that if anybody takes the belts off of FTR anytime soon, it would probably be the Young Bucks.
Yeah, this was a close one. 5 people took Orange Cassidy and Hook, and 4 people took the Young Bucks. 2 people took the Guns. I took the Young Bucks because they're not going to lose. They have the ability.
More than you give them credit for.
Well, they didn't hear, so
they did know. They didn't hear, but they lost to FTR recently at the last pay-per-view. I think it was the last pay-per-view. It wasn't All In. No, it was All In, not the last pay-per-view. All Out was the last pay-per-view. All In was where they lost the belts, and they want to keep that. I think they want to keep that story going. But yeah, I know you don't like the Young Bucks. I do. I think they do push people, when they need to. But I still think that they're in their prime, in many ways. So the next match would be Swerve Strickland against Hangman Adam Page. 20 minutes and 15 seconds. This was a really, really good match. It seems like they're pushing Swerve Strickland in a big way, and I like that idea. I think that he has earned it. I would give this one 4 stars. These guys worked well together. I like the story of, it was almost not a behind-the-scenes story, but I like the fact that the story focused on, what happened to Hangman Adam Page. Why isn't he, in any feuds anymore? Why isn't he wrestling as much? Why doesn't he have any merch available? That kind of thing. They were they kind of went deep on it in that way, so I liked how that went. But yeah, I thought that this one was really good.
Most people took Adam Page in this. I took
really?
Strickland. I took Strickland for the reasons that you just said. A little tiny bit that I know about AEW, Strickland is getting pushed, and Page seems colder than a dead fish. But that they're trying to now, I'd be interested to know if that was the idea all along, or they woke up this morning and went, "Oh shit, we haven't done nothing with Adam Page in a while," and then turned that into the storyline. Either which way, that could wind up being interesting. I know that they had the storyline with him having the alcoholic problems. So if they try to do deeper real life stuff with him, I mean that's a cool idea. So we'll have to see where that goes. But no, I thought Strickland would clearly win this again, just from the little bit that I know.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Page has been doing stuff with the Young Bucks, with Kenny Omega kind of on his own, doing his own feuds. The trio has been Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks, and so that's kind of been where they've been putting Hangman Adam Page, which is fine. But he's better in a singles capacity. His character is better in a singles capacity, and I like that they used that here as a story. So the next match was Ricky Starks against Wheeler Yuta. this match would go 9 minutes 55 seconds. No surprise here. Ricky Starks would win. The highlight, the match itself was fine. I would give it about 3.5 stars. The highlight was the fact that Jon Moxley was on color with the 3 of the other guys and has no filter. which
did he get color while being on color?
He did not, but he would use whatever language he felt like, which apparently has its detractors. But I thought it was fun.
Well, let me tell you this: the comedian Emo Phillips once said to me that a comedian, and this is different, but a comedian that has to swear to get a laugh is like a ninja that has to use a gun.
Well, okay, fine. I don't think he was trying to get laughs. I think he was just.
I was saying that's a different concept. But again, if you can only get your point across by swearing, you need to rethink your vocabulary.
Oh, that sounds like a 50s philosophy, Leonard.
I'm an old white man that doesn't know anything.
So he would stay out on color for the next match, which is Bryan Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr., booked as a dream match. Went 22 minutes and 45 seconds. There are people that could probably, pick apart my rating here and maybe lower it, but I'm going to go 5 on this one. This match was great in every way. It delivered exactly as you wanted it to deliver. Anybody that has seen Zack Sabre Jr. wrestle knows what you're going to get out of him. It's not going to be, as Leonard would say, flippy dude stuff. You're going to get a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of submissions, a lot of chain wrestling. And that's what this delivered. 2 of the best right now doing it, delivered in every way here. If anybody out there hasn't seen this event and they want to watch one match, this is the match I would recommend that they watch because.
That one may be one I have to pick up. I've not seen a lot of Zack Sabre Jr. I've heard a lot of good things. Of course, very familiar with Bryan Danielson's work, and it seems to me, and you can say this better, does he seem to exist in his own pocket universe in AEW, where he just wrestles his matches that he wrestles and is kind of off to the side from everything else?
He recently announced on air that this is the last year of his career. He wanted to stop when his daughter turned 7, I think he said. His daughter's 6 right now. And he started out by saying, so I want to wrestle some of the people I wanted to, and he called out Zack Sabre Jr. So that's kind of the start of this, which I think is a good way for him to go out. And apparently what I've heard behind the scenes is that because he's been doing a lot of gimmick matches, he did a strap match with Ricky Starks and a Texas death match with Ricky Starks. And apparently the gimmick matches are easier on his body than the straight up ones, which,
because it's brawling.
What's that?
Yeah, because it's brawling. He's not doing that technical in-ring stuff. It's punches and kicks, and that's how Steve Austin was able to come back at WrestleMania against Kevin Owens. If it's just us punching each other across the stadium, that you can do. So yeah, I definitely see where that type of match would be easier on you physically. And some people would say, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," but yeah, go in and run the ropes and get stretched as opposed to just throwing punches and kicks.
And in this case, wrestling Zack Sabre Jr., most of it was in the ring. So, there wasn't, I don't think he had to put his neck at risk too much in this match. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. The next match would be a 6-man tag match. The Don Callis family of Konosuke Takeshita, Will Ospreay, and Sammy Guevara, with Don Callis, of course, against Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. This match was terrific as well. I'd probably go 4 or 4.25 here if I don't know what I would choose if I had a gun to my head, but 22 minutes, 35 seconds for this one. The Don Callis family wins again. So this is, Kenny Omega has had a losing streak here for a while. Because clearly they want to put this Don Callis faction over. He and Chris Jericho, I would think, want to put that faction over in a big way. So
I took Omega and Jericho, and most other people did too. And as you know, yes, I would not guess that. Again, not following it minutely, I would not think that Omega and Jericho would job to those guys. But again, from the storyline you're telling me, that seems to make sense. So I was just, again, going on political backstage, who Tony Khan would want to go over type of thing was my guess there. So that's the other one I got wrong.
By the way, anybody out there who watches AEW, let me know what you think of Don Callis's theme music, which is just subtle. It's just like one, almost like a single solitary sound. like it's very subtle and evil. I love it because of its simplicity. Leonard, just check out a clip of it if you get a chance.
I'll find it. I'll find Don Callis' theme music.
The next match, FTR against Aussie Open, 20 minutes, 25 seconds. I went 4.5 on this one. This was so much better than I thought it would be. FTR is a great tag team, and I knew they would deliver. But Aussie Open really brought it here as well. This match was so fun to watch. And if anybody was watching this, Mark Davis literally broke his wrist in the match. And you could see by the end that he couldn't even put any weight on it. So that just shows you how hard guys were. And FTR retained. And, I assume, like I said, I we'll see another Young Bucks match with that. But yeah, this match was really, really good. I honestly wasn't sure if FTR were going to keep the belts here because they've had them for a while. So they will be dropping them here probably at some point soon. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And so the main event, now, Leonard, as this was going, once I realized what the main event was going to be, I had a feeling that something big was going to happen. And so the main event was Christian Cage defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 fall match. And, I don't think that they're necessarily trying to keep it super secret because it's been rumored for a while now. But when they put it at this point of the card, they definitely are giving people an idea of what was going to happen. So first, let's get to the match itself. 25 minutes and 25 seconds. This match was really good, really entertaining. Again, I would probably go 4.25 here because it was just insane. And Leonard, I'm going to try and describe this spot to you. Like, you take the metal steps from the corner of the ring and you place like right outside the apron. Steps are facing the ring, the point, actual stairs, part of the steps. Christian Cage slams from the top of the apron, slams Darby Allin into the stairs of the metal steps, like full on, like slams him.
They have the steps wedged between the skirt and the apron.
No.
So they were just up against the side of the ring.
No, they weren't. It was just in the middle of the mat, right, like outside the apron. So they were far enough away so that he could throw him from the top of the apron.
Okay, so they were sticking through the ropes onto the apron from inside the ring.
No, they were on the floor.
They were on the floor. Okay, I'll have to find a picture of that because I'm having a hard time kind of picturing what that looks
I'm probably doing a horrible
like.
I cannot believe that Darby Allin took this bump and was able to.
Sounds like a heck of a bump if he's landing on the edge of the steps. Yeah.
It was hard to watch, and I've never seen anybody take that before. It was amazing to watch. The third fall would see as they were like kind of doing a faux stretcher job for Darby Allin. Christian Cage was cutting the mat off of the ring and exposed the boards underneath. So that's how they match. They finished with the boards exposed. So Christian would retain because Nick Wayne would turn on Darby Allin and join with Christian Cage. And they were just about to.
You said this was 2 out of 3 falls. Was it also no DQ?
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider a DQ. I mean, they use the steps, which we've seen people use the steps in matches that it doesn't get disqualification.
True. Yes. Yeah.
Up and throw them at Darby Allin. He just
and they tore up the ring, but the ring, it was still the use of the ring.
Right. So yeah, it depends.
I think I need to see this match, but I'm going to go with that feels like a very creative use of doing different stuff without necessarily going outside the rules. Because again, and you see this all the time, is stuff, and that used to drive me nuts when I watched it, was stuff that is definitely a DQ or stuff that is definitely you've been out of the ring too much, you should be counted out. So this just sounds clever. So this I'll let go.
Right. So Sting would come out to try and help Darby, and they would gang up on him. Luchasaurus, Christian, and Nick Wayne would gang up on the two of them. And the lights go out. The vignette plays, and Adam Copeland has debuted in AEW. And I knew that they would get his theme music because his theme music is Our Lady Peace. So, like, I knew they would get that. I knew that for sure. I guess they redid the audio of "You Think You Know Me." And that was apparently Beth Phoenix does the audio for that in this case. They were able to still call him the rated R superstar, but he is Adam Copeland, obviously. So,
I saw a thing on that. WWE had abandoned the copyright on Rated R Superstar because they weren't using it. So it seems like every now and again they just kind of go through and, okay, we're not using this, and they don't renew it when the renewal comes up. So
Edge has, jumped on top of that. And apparently right before we got on here, Leonard, I was reading about how he filed a bunch of trademarks, a bunch of different trademarks. So, we'll see kind of what nicknames he goes with. But yeah, so Edge came out to a huge reaction, obviously. And, he gets in the ring and obviously you don't know if he's going to align himself to Christian or not. Christian being the ultimate heel right now. And obviously he sides with Sting and Darby Allin. So, they're clearly going to jump to the Christian Edge feud, which is probably a natural, transition.
although I would like to see Edge versus Sting, just to say that was a thing that happened.
That would be interesting to see as well. Sting doesn't do a ton of singles in AEW, if any, but apparently,
Yeah.
And so that's how the show ended. In a very big way. This is make no mistake, this is a very big signing for AEW, especially considering CM Punk just got fired. So I would imagine that Edge, Adam Copeland, becomes the face of Collision. If I were behind the scenes, that's what I would suggest.
I would slot him into the CM Punk spot. Again, he's a different talent than CM Punk, but he is clearly one of your biggest names with charisma, with promo ability, an older talent, but can still go in the ring and has a very good sense of his strengths and his weaknesses. So yeah, I would definitely see him sort of replacing CM Punk. We've seen Edge and Christian, but it's a different flavor to it.
Right.
Edge and Sting teaming, I think, is a cool idea.
Yeah.
If they go that direction. But again, there's a lot of people, Edge versus, I know he's working face right now, but Edge versus MJF and Edge versus, or Adam Copeland versus, Kenny Omega and Ricky Starks and Sammy Guevara and all these different guys that they've got. You have a lot of good, and again, you're going to poo on me, but Tony Khan feels like the kind of guy that is going to burn through everything as quick as he can, because the idea of Edge versus all these names I just said, he just wants to do that match.
Right.
And I think we're going to see a lot of Edge versus whoever before the end of the year. I think every week is going to be a new, look at Edge is fighting this guy.
Well, you could have a point. And, obviously the background there is, Edge obviously this is his second run of, his career, being that he had a really serious injury and was out for many years. So who knows? What I do know is that Tony Khan said at the Scrum that he will be appearing / wrestling every week. So this is not like a Legends contract where he's only going to wrestle a few times a year. Apparently he wants to go at it full time. So, you might, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, like, who are the feuds I would like to see him have that he's not had? Like Sammy Guevara, Ricky Starks, those two guys seem like they would really mesh well with his style. It's funny you mentioned Kenny Omega, because I don't know if that would mesh well with Edge at all. Kenny Omega I'd be worried Kenny Omega would be pushing him to do stuff It would like put him in a wheelchair. Like, you never know. Kenny Omega can work with anybody, but like he obviously works a very fast paced, high flying style. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they go with him. I'm looking forward to what the future holds in that way. But yeah, overall, I thought that the event was really good. I was debating on whether or not I was going to buy it in the first place, but I had a feeling something was going to happen. With somebody debuting, there's a lot of names out there in the ether right now, and obviously WWE just cut a ton of people. So obviously those non-performing contracts or non-performing time limits are still going on for a lot of those guys, if not all of them. But it'll be interesting to see who, if any, that AEW picks up after those all expire, because there's some good names. One name that I would like to see, because it makes sense, because his brother is there, is Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's in his early 40s, so obviously he's probably nearing the end of his career at some point. But to me, that would be a no-brainer to have the brothers.
You're gonna hate me saying this too, but this kind of feels like mid-90s WCW, where all these old WWE names jumped for a payday. Is Edge making more with Tony Khan than he made with Vince? I would guarantee he is.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you're correct there. The difference is, why would Edge stay in WWE? They made him look like an idiot. I'm sorry, but people could say WWE does no wrong, but they did Edge wrong. He won the Royal Rumble only to get stacked on top of Bryan Danielson and pinned by Roman Reigns in the main event. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. They had him start a faction only to have it yanked away from him because of creative differences.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Like, he clearly wanted to end his career not just with a high payday, but he clearly wanted to end it with his friend being Christian. And I think that I think that there was more for him to sink his teeth into with AEW, because WWE is clearly going through this weird phase of we got to have these people hold the titles forever and a day, and if you're older, then you're just going to basically be jobbing to everybody. Like, what happened to AJ Styles? I know, he's still around from time to time, but he loses almost every match he's in as well. So yeah. In any event, but yeah, you're absolutely right. The payday is there. I think WCW comparison, I think they care a little bit more about what the people are doing that they're hiring. I would say that.
Okay. Well, yes, I would probably give you that. They were just going for names,
Right.
But yeah, and again, it was a little bit different where they were kind of enticing people to come over, where this is a little bit different, where WWE is just flat out letting people go.
Yeah.
And or not renewing a contract, or the person not wanting to renew the contract.
And they did a good sign off with him and Sheamus having that match. So it was just a matter of that one ending, but yeah, and the AEW seems to play their cards right, as far as they don't want to step on WWE's toes. They don't want to, and at the Scrum, apparently, anytime anybody said Edge, which happened a lot, as you would expect, Tony Khan corrected them. Every time he tried to cut them off, because he doesn't want to give the impression that they're not paying attention to that detail. They're not trying to make you think any differently. They're getting.
So is Christian always Christian Cage? Because that's the way it was in Impact. You can't call him Christian. You can't say Christian does this or Christian does that. Even you have to say Christian Cage at all times. That's what Impact did.
I have to think back to the Cage. Sure, they've referred to him as Christian before, but
probably did. But I remember that being a thing in Impact, that they did it so they used his full name so much it became comical.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the event if you watched it, and Leonard, make sure you check out Don Callis's music. let me know because I feel like you
I
would
would do that.
either way. Yeah,
I do like Callis.
I think Don Callis is great. But let me know in the comments if you have any disagreements with me on my star ratings. Check out our other episodes, our other videos, I should say. Segment surgery, stupid questions, what's that card, random match reviews. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Support us in any way you can. We really appreciate it. And for Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.